I've got the best job in the world, in the best place in the world. It's something that I love to do, and I'm sure I'm helping the environment and my community at the same time.
Most people know that we live in a very pristine area, but people have to work now to keep it pristine.
Benefits are endless, really. You're talking about something that is really close to our heart, about looking after our land, looking after our sea, caring for our environment, plus a range of other things.
The Ranger Program is an Australian government initiative that the TSRA is a funding recipient, and we work in partnership with traditional owners, prescribed body corporates and other partners to implement these land and sea management activities across the region. The Ranger Program delivers all of our natural and cultural resource management things across the Torres Strait.
For many decades prior to the Land and Sea Management Unit even being dreamt of, Torres Strait people have aspired to have greater control over the management of their lands and seas, and to have their traditional knowledge about the region and its unique environmental values reflected in the management arrangements for the region. So there have been calls for a ranger program now for many decades, and it was in 2005 that the opportunity came about to seek funding for Torres Strait Island people to manage dugongs and turtles in the region through a cross-regional project. And from those beginnings, I guess, we had the basis for moving forward into a more holistic approach to managing not purely species, but the seas in Torres Strait and the lands.
That management of those species, the turtle and dugong, is very important for the sustainability of where we want to be as a nation, where we want to be as teaching our children about the cultural environment, particularly of dugong and turtle, because it's part of our history, it's part of our totem, and what better way to be working closely with rangers to have that involvement from community to make sure that it's there for us today and towards the future.
One of my first jobs as a chairman was to go down and see Tony Burke to ask for the Ranger Program funding. And and just at that moment we had the James Cook University's dugong research project papers that have just been released. So I gave that to Tony Burke and said the Torres Strait dugong population is actually growing, and if we want it to grow further, we need somebody to look after them. And that's where I think we changed his mind and he gave us the money.
When the Ranger Program came on board, it was at a time where we were getting lots of feedback from communities, talking about lots of issues that needed being done on the ground, as opposed to just bringing in research scientists to look to study different important priorities that had been established. So the natural extension of that, of course, was getting people on ground, and that ticked a hell of a lot of boxes, including improving employment out on communities, the proper people who knew that country better than I, as just an overall kind of a coordinated position. So some specialist knowledge, some respect on ground, and some improvements to how communities across the board, including across gender, females, women, young people, and the elders in the community were having better input.
We collect data from the turtle and dugong, and we see a lot of changes in the hunters, how they approach us, and how they respect the turtle and dugong now. Yeah, we're just on a turtle nest here, and I think it's a green. A lot of the nests on this island, they get predated by the goanna. Goanna digs up most of the nest here. But over on that island there, Geba, the pigs, there's a lot of pigs there.
and they dig up most of the nest over there.
I've seen a lot of changes in regards to the way that hunters engage with rangers. Hunters are more educated now in regards to the good work that the rangers have been doing on the ground, with the education and awareness and the management arrangements for the community.
One of my job is to do dugong and turtle catch monitoring. Basically, just talking to hunters like you and getting information and keeping it, filing it for the PBC, and some of the scientific stuff we send it into the ranger program. One of our jobs is for you to take a bit of time and read through this and get to know this, because in there is the management plan set up. It's done by the elders of Saibai, the clan elders, the representative of the clan, in consultation with the TOs, traditional owners. So it's done there.
The initial involvement of a very specific program, for the hawksbill turtle management at Sassy, obviously one of the greatest hatchery, I think, in the world for that species of turtle. It had people thinking, and certainly I think it made people aware that here is something we should make sure that we do everything to look after it and maintain and sustain it for future generations.
Diversity survey is all about finding out what's in the environment, and one of the methods that we used the traps, setting traps to catch small mammals.
Just about to put in an earlier trap. This one's usually for small skanks, lizards, melmies, which is a native rat that's local to this area.
The croc comes in when it's monsoon season. It comes in this creek here. At night it goes back out and go along the beach in search of dogs. We have installed a motion camera in here just to monitor the crocodile. We just keep a close eye on the croc. Just watch every movement of it. Get very aggressive on humans and dogs.
Being the only female in the near western cluster, it was challenging at first because of being a female. Most of the men think that being a female, you can't do half the things they can. Working along, they got to know me. They could see that I can do most of the things they can. It's been a privilege. I've learned a lot, not only from the program, but from my fellow co-workers. Yeah, it's been good, challenging, a challenge that I'd like to overcome.
In 2008, we had an opportunity to apply for funding under the Working on Country Ranger program to set up a ranger group within Torres Strait. And the first ranger group was set up in 2008, 2009 on Mobiag Island. And since then, the ranger program has become the flagship for the LSMU in terms of the way we approach the delivery of environmental projects in the region from a really grassroots, traditional owner-led basis.
We value them so much. The rangers come in and they do a program in the community where we clean up all the beaches. It has been a very positive working relationship here in Moa. The thing that I see that really benefits the program is we're working together with the elders in the community, because our elders are our knowledge keepers.
I like the ranger one, very good. They do a good thing, something for community.
They're doing good job. Like these sort of things, they go around and make a closure of the graves. I think it's right for them to do something about the graves, like not only here but other places too.
So I was right at the start. I picked up 2 ranger programs or ranger units. So it was Mabiog and Badu, and then later I picked up Murray. And these islands were definitely regarded as the foundation islands. And the ranger program was immediately received with open arms, breath of fresh air. The communities embraced the program. So we started with 3 rangers at each community, each of the communities, and it's grown from the 3 communities to all the communities with rangers.
We've got 50 odd rangers now, I think, and we've got a junior ranger program in the Tagai school, which is a positive step, and I think the ranger jobs are well sought, and you always have good number of applicants when there's a vacancy announced. And the other good thing about that is I think that the traditional knowledge that rangers, elder rangers bring to the program is good, so that, you know, it's not done intentionally, I think, but most islands do have sort of senior rangers or elders, and then junior rangers who come into training. So the knowledge is not only passed traditionally, but it's passed in the job place where the rangers work.
The partnership that we have with our TSRA Rangers is incredibly important to my role as the principal at the school. For me, the Rangers are a critical partnership for us in enabling our kids to know where our food's coming from. For instance, our garden project, the greenhouse project that we're just establishing here behind me. The Rangers are coming in, talking to our kids about turtles, turtle hatching, and then also rely heavily on our Rangers for support in our camps, so our environmental camps. Our Rangers provide a lot of logistical support.
I've been in a couple of situations where we go into classrooms and like, fantastic to see that kind of, you know, interest and awe that kids look up to people. I don't know, you know, more than just a uniform. It's seeing and hearing their own people talk about issues.
There's a lot of changes that's come out of this, out of the Ranger program since it started. More awareness in the communities of our natural resources, being more aware of turtles and dugongs, which is the big thing, but then even going into trees and animals in the bush.
In the islands it means a great deal, particularly for rangers to take control of looking after the environment. And for them to take pride in their community, I think it's the best thing that can happen.
So some of the things we can do, the other stakeholders on the island can't. There aren't as many weeds anymore. This plant was introduced by the old people. The sisal, people don't harvest it anymore for traditional robes. Now it's getting out of hand. We're working with the community, trying to organize something to come out here and try and get rid of these sisals.
The biggest change I would see is the weed eradication work or control work with Lukina on the island. Like I said, the seed was first brought here by one of the locals years ago for traditional bead work. Unfortunately for us, given the rich volcanic soil, we didn't have no idea that Lukina would be such a pest. There were forests all over this island. Major parts of the island were completely covered with it.
Indigenous protected areas have provided a more formal management framework for some of those areas that are really high cultural significance in the Torres Strait. While not a statutory planning regime, they do provide a much greater emphasis on the importance of particular areas and how traditional owners have agreed to manage those in the region.
We've only got 3 Indigenous protected areas in the Torres Strait. One's at Deliverance Island. We've got another one at Mobiag, Pulu Island, that's being looked after by the Mobiag people, and the third is the central cluster where we are now, and that's actually the biggest. I believe it's over nine sandbars and uninhabited islands, and it's being looked after by the people from Worba and Puruma.
Pulu is regarded as the sacred island for Mobiag, and it is now protected under the IPA program. The program is running excellently and successfully, and is managed and sustained with a unique active group such as you boys and also the younger culturalists from the community. The IPA is, and most importantly, is the thing that I would encourage every other community, indigenous community, to go for. I know that indigenous protected areas will play a big part in the long run for those who are still growing up to be the ambassadors of the Strait in their own time.
It's a good project that where we can create an initiative that where we have rangers working with the elders so that we can record our stories, our natural resources, our seasons, our plants, our animals.
Traditional knowledge is one of the fundamental underpinning parts of the Torres Strait culture, that it entwines everything.
The one thing that really interested me was the tech program when it was introduced. To me, our culture and our ways is handed down by word of mouth, and sometimes the story gets changed along the way. But having the tech program come out and being able to document everything, I see it as a good thing, that our culture won't be lost. The main thing is that it's the people who have the control, so the PBC are able to administrate who can see what, and some information that's sacred only for the traditional owners of that certain area. So that was one of the major changes that really impacted us all. Everybody wanted, we had all the youngsters come along and put their tribe, and it was really good.
And of course other ecological knowledge with monitoring dugong and turtle, where they feed and when they feed. It's all knowledge that is handed down from father to son, but with the rangers now it's handed down to them so they can keep that knowledge in the white man's sense, in tapes or DVDs like this or any other thing.
Working for country is also part of cultural, because there's a lot of story about trees, the plant, the medicine, the bird, totem, the wind, the cloud, the weather, the insects, everything. It is really important that we should start now, not tomorrow, now, record everything.
The things about the TSRA program and what we've heard from all the rangers is that it's in a remote location. These jobs are considered probably the top job on the island. So it's a real rewarding experience for the rangers. They get the opportunity to be employed on a remote location with a program like the TSRA. The opportunities they've got, the training they've got, the equipment they get supplied with, everything here is really, it's sort of a bit surreal, and I don't think people on the mainland have a grasp of how much is going on up here. And I think the ranger program's really designed well to help set these rangers to progress and move forward in their community, to be leaders.
I've noticed a real change in the professionalism and the work readiness and the workplace skills that the guys and girls have developed over the last years that the ranger program's been in place.
So when we think about training for each new ranger as they're employed with us, we first of all think, what training do they need to be able to be safe in their workplace and to be able to do their job well.
I was one of the first 3 rangers to get full open coxswains.
I've gained a lot of leadership, standing in front of people, talking.
Skills and accreditations I've gained is enormous from my point of view.
I enjoy all the training, new things I learn, skills that I didn't have before.
Learning how to do a beach profile, measuring the sand shifts in the coastal beaches we have in our communities.
Chainsaw ticket, chemical handling, helicopter underwater escape training.
Yeah, IT trainings, coxswains.
Coral monitoring. We did a snorkeling, skin diving course.
Like basic warehousing, operation training, and along with like forklift licensing.
Since I've been in this role, I've done Australian Rural Leadership course, which is a 8-day trail course in Canberra, and I've also done the Australian Indigenous Leadership Certificate 4.
With the unit, I've completed the Diploma of Business Administration.
They proudly wear that uniform. Another thing is they are handed knowledge that they wouldn't have had if they didn't work in that area. And you can see when they come into town, into TI for training, Thursday Island for training, you see them walk around with that uniform, and they're proud that they, in the Ranger program.
It's important to build on the foundations that have been laid for Indigenous community-based management under the previous strategy, to recognise some of our successes and also to reflect on some of the learnings over the past 10 years. So we're now actually in the process of revising and updating the land and sea management strategy to take us forward over the next 20 years. The new strategy reflects some of the amazing scientific developments over the last decade. And for the first time, we've synthesised all of the scientific research that's occurred in the region and produced a State of the Environment report card for Torres Strait. This will be a really important basis for us moving forward in terms of monitoring and environmental management, and also will justify ongoing investment in land and sea management in the region into the future.